Welcome and good evening to everybody tonight, and thank you very much for attending University of Roehampton online webinar, Develop Professionally with Roehampton Online. And we have a fantastic action-packed session for you today with some great guests discussing the program. We have a faculty member and a student discussing their experience. So without any further ado, let's meet them. First we have Zakiya Sayed, faculty member. Hello, Zakiya.
Hello, I'm fine, Joe.
Hello, and we have Mostafa, who's an MBA student. Hello, Mostafa.
Hi, Joe, and everyone. We're going to have an outstanding one today.
Exactly, that's great. And what we have today is an interactive session, so this is a great opportunity to ask a few questions that you might have of Zakiya and of Mostafa in the presentation. They'll be discussing the program, some of the elements of the university and the general experience of studying online. So if you do have any questions, now's the time to put them to our panelists today. So thank you very much for that. So Zakiya, over to you. You're a faculty member on our program. I'd like to ask you, what is your experience of teaching at Roehampton Online?
Hi, Joe. Thank you for the question. I've been teaching at other esteemed university under the Laureate Online Education Group since 2010. In 2012, I was invited to join Roehampton Online as an honorary lecturer. The programs are quite pragmatic here and practically relevant. The programs and the module structure is conducive to learning, especially for the types of students that we cater to. The learning contents are relevant, and I think it's quite self-sufficient. The modules that I teach, I find that the reading materials are exhaustive and the exercises are very practical, which gets to the students to acknowledge the concepts, maybe take them to use the tools in the right way, or rather, let's say, contemplate the theoretical aspect of the subject. I could confidently say that the students are engaged in the use of the tools and techniques after maybe they have learned and discussed about it with their fellow beings. It's an opportunity to learn maybe with other like-minded learners. So I feel this is the positive experience that I've been with teaching with Roehampton Online University.
Thank you very much. And we have one of those engaged students today, and we're going to show that in action. Mostafa is engaged with this course, and we're going to discuss that with him. What do you think is the main difference? Because you must have taught on campus for other universities as well. What is the the real difference between campus learning and online learning, in your opinion, Zakiya?
Okay, so, since I've been teaching face-to-face setup maybe almost 18 years now, I've taught at multiple university as a academic, maybe I've even managed some organizations as an admin coordinating students' activities and so on. Basically, currently I'm teaching at a local university at in Saudi Arabia, and I'm teaching in the accounting and finance field. At on-ground institutions that I work with the face-to-face students, basically building trust and maybe confidence among us scholars, and it's a two-way dialogue. Yet my experience with the University of Roehampton as an online faculty is intriguing and inspiring as I work on building similar type of relationship with my highly motivated students who could potentially be located anywhere in the world. That's the best part of being engaged with online students, and specifically they are professionals and have considerable experience in their own field.
I think you raise a good point. It's not a monocultural experience. It's a multicultural experience. And studying online, maybe slightly older demographic of working professionals from all over the world. So I'm really glad that you're with us teaching and helping those professionals grow on the program and meet people from all over the world. So thank you very much, Zakiya. And over to you, Mostafa. Can you tell us just a bit about your background, where you're from, where you're based now, and your educational and work experience?
Basically, I'm from Egypt, from Cairo specifically in Egypt. I'm graduated and I have a bachelor's degree of electrical power engineering from Helwan University in Egypt. And then I moved to Abu Dhabi. I'm working in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates since 6 years now. Moving through different categories in my career path in the oil field. I was working in Baker Hughes for 4 years, and then I moved to Weatherford, an international service oil company. Currently, I'm the lead for the technical sales group for a certain product line in Weatherford. And my future plan is opening a private business center for teaching effective leadership in terms of 3 major roles in this center. The first role, as I determined for you, Joe, the first role is a psychological one in terms of getting in depth for all the talents that those children have, starting from year 7 until year 15 in their life, in order to strengthen this part. Second role is a bit soft skills role. So we need those children to carry on during their academic period of life in order to have strengthening for their soft skills. Those soft skills is going to enable them to materialize whatever they are educated in order to be very strong in their future business life. The third one is the ethics and manners. So I believe for any part in the world, for any religion, the ethics and manners are one. They are unified. So we need to let them grow in this critical part of their life, the teenaging, with good manners in order to have the 3 parts all together: soft skills, technical part, ethics and manners. Those 3 parts, they should be very strengthened in those 3 parts in order to have a successful life when it comes to the business aspect, and have a better life for themselves and for their countries as well.
I mean, I think this is an unbelievable initiative. It's very rare that I come across, anyone in life who is such a bold and decisive plan as you have. You're very fixed on this plan. You understand exactly what you want to build. I understand that you also have, some business partners, friends that you studied with that also bring different skills to this for you as well. And I'm going to ask you later what skills you're taking from the course and applying in order to achieve these goals as well. Why did you choose then, Mostafa, to study online with the University of Roehampton?
Okay, so basically studying online gives you better flexibility in enhancing your studying goals. Because I'm so busy in my work, I'm spending almost 12 hours per day in the work. So better flexibility. Yes, better flexibility in the online studying with the online is better than the class-based masters. So in case you don't have a specific time, a specific timeline, and a specific schedule per week, so it can give you the flexibility in order to skip some days of studying, and then the other days you're going to catch up by increasing the number of hours that you're going to be able to study in your break or in your holidays.
I think it's important for you. I mean, if you're working 12 hours a day sometimes, Mostafa, that you have to have some flexibility. You certainly can't be in class on those days. So thank you for that, and we'll come back to you to discuss that further as well. Zakiya, in terms of the program, can you tell us, in your view, how the program reflects up-to-date and relevant issues? And can you bring any examples from any of the modules in management that you teach?
Okay, Joe, I would first of all congratulate Mostafa. I'm really impressed with your level of achievements and the wonderful plans you have. I wish you the best. And to answer your question, Joe, I would want to say that at Roehampton University, the first thing that I found was the students are receiving immense support to facilitate their learning and achievement. Beginning from the enrollment advisor who would help them to register to the program that is a dedicated support team to guide the students through the module registration till the completion of the module. And there is a dynamic and fully updated website called the Center of Student Success, which provides ready information to all aspects of learning and performing at our online programs. Then there is the InspireNet, which is an online platform for interaction that acts like a virtual campus for meeting and networking with our students and students with each other, meeting faculty, maybe student support, admin, and so on. So the students in the class are well acquainted with the resources and the support available to them. If not, it is actually, as a faculty member, I would say it's quite easy to guide them to these resources. Speaking about the program design itself, as you asked me specifically, saying that how does it reflect an up-to-date thing, so I could say that the programs are designed to reflect a contemporary industry relevant issues. Each program is developed by product development team working not only with academics at the university but also with the subject matter experts, employers, and other industry experts who understand the current issues and also the challenges that our students may face, or maybe the challenges facing in the industry, and how our programs can address these challenges. So as a result, students can take away what they learn directly in the class and apply them to their jobs. This I believe is a high quality program where students would not only gain an academic knowledge about various concepts, but also something which they can take, some tangible thing which they can take to their workplaces. Roehampton faculty members are highly qualified. Most of them are researchers and scholars, and many of them publish in articles and professional journals, also write books. So this definitely help them facilitate learning and provide relevant feedback related to what's happening in the world right now. And of course, our students themselves, they interact with each other, and each being professionals, they definitely have room for developing themselves, helping each other in learning, and of course, sharing ideas about what's happening in their own fields, and maybe encouraging each other to discuss and debate about. So I believe on the whole, yes, Roehampton does provide a up-to-date program for our students.
I think that's a really lovely and holistic way to look at the course and the program, Zakiya. When you're in the classroom then, as a faculty member, how do you typically interact with the students in your classroom?
Okay, if I'm speaking about my own classroom, I see that teaching online student community, I actually tend to be more available to the students than I would be with maybe my on-ground students. This may seem laughable, but I would emphasize more with my online students and connect to them more. I could be maybe due to some non-physical nature of our interactions, but I would like to believe that this is due to the lesser distractions that we have, maybe to the point discussions, maybe an opportunity to think before we provide a reply or an answer, or maybe suggestions to the questions that is asked. In an online class, I would take time to identify which student is on the right track and maybe who is feeling lost. So over the course of the module, I have seen the most timid of students develop into a good communicator and maybe earn a capability to complete the module projects. And note that module projects are the most of the time, it's considered to be a practical piece of academic writing. Maybe, for example, in one of the modules that I teach, students prepare a consultancy report. After analyzing a practical challenge of a specific company, and this consultancy report, they investigate the company about its problems, compare the performance with the industry, and maybe provide recommendation which could help them achieve their strategic objectives. So indeed, it's a practical achievement. So I think, okay, finally I would maybe comment about the assessment structure, which indeed are quite innovative. We have comprehensive assessments, and I would say that these assessments are well phased out. I believe Mostafa will agree with this one, that it makes it easy for the faculty member also to achieve the module objectives. Each module is of 2 weeks duration. This definitely gives sufficient time for our students to go through the reading materials, understand it, discuss it with their team learners, and also learn from each other. Of course, the discussion on the shared activity forum, where they interact with each other on the module related topics, and also ask questions to the faculty member and get a response before it's time for their submission at the end of the unit. I think that would be what I would say about my own experience for teaching modules for such a duration.
I think you've highlighted a nice point there as well about the difference between online and traditional learning. You're not just handing assignments to an instructor who's just grading them and giving them back to you. There's also what you spoke about earlier is shared activities, and then that's about writing an assignment and then sharing it with the rest of the people in your class, and then building a discussion upon that. And that discussion is academically graded and is part of the fabric of the way we grade and assess our students. So again, thank you very much, Zakiya, for outlining that and clarifying that for anyone who doesn't really understand what online learning is all about. So thank you.
My pleasure, Joe.
Mostafa, we've heard from the faculty here today. What role have the faculty that you've met played in your learning experience on the MBA?
Okay, so basically in your career path, when you are leading as a manager, supervisor, or a lead for any team, you have two core things that differentiate you from others. The two core things is managing people, and the other thing is your input, your technical input when it comes to the operations, to the sales, to whatsoever you are working in, your technical input in your core business. So basically, from the aspect of managing people, I learned a lot in the MBA for the different strategies, let's say, of managing different styles of people, and how I should be flexible in this term, because what maintains the relationship and what maintains the professionalism of the work with a certain employee does not necessarily maintain with the other one. So the flexibility of the people is the key turn number one. Key turn number two, when it comes to your input in your core of the business, nobody knows everything in the world. While you are progressing in your path, you should progress and you should have an input in your business. So the criteria here is being able to know the know-how through the researchers. So this is the core of what I learned in the MBA with the different modules that I moved on, whether marketing, HR, sales, finance, leadership, all of these. They let me be able to have in-depth research to reach whatever I want in a professional way that is going to enhance you, whether in the MBA or is going to enhance you in your business aspect or anywhere in your fields of life. This is the real differentiation for the MBA when it comes to managing people, how you should be flexible during your career path for managing people, to your technical input in your core business, and how you can manage this through the research to reach a professional in-depth research to know the know-how of whatsoever you are dealing with in your different stages in the career path. So this is just a very summarized output of what I learned in my previous 7 modules.
Wow, and also, we're very proud that you've actually got through 7 modules as well. It's a real achievement, Mostafa. So well done.
Yeah,
I would also. Yeah. So sorry.
No problem. Just if you allow me to add to this point. Yes, exactly. Concerning the shared learning, when I was about to start the modules, I was a little bit scared about the online learning because it's a new concept for everyone, especially, and I'm just saying this on purpose, especially for Arabs. It's a new approach for Arabs because it's not well spread in our countries. So I was totally scared about this. How I'm gonna progress? How I'm gonna be able to have my research to facilitate things by myself. But actually, when I entered, capturing from Zakiya's words, when I entered and progressed through the modules, I believe that there is an intense interaction between the faculty members and the students in terms of the classroom navigator, the shared activity that we are sharing all together, different aspects for the title or for the module that we are learning from different mindsets worldwide. So of course the input is much greater than having a class-based learning with a max of 2-3 nationalities. This is gonna be more narrow vision than the broad vision that we are having in the online, because it enables multicultural to be sharing the learning together. So of course, the amount that you're going to absorb is going to be much better than a class-based one.
I think you raised some great points as we're talking with Zakiya earlier. You have the same view in terms of the class is global. It's not a single identity or a single culture, and it's not a fixed mindset. It's a growing mindset, which is really in line with learning in general. So, more to that, where do the students come from then, Mostafa, on your course? What are their backgrounds and where do they live, etc., in your experience?
Okay. So during my 7 modules, because of the variation in the passing through the modules and that stuff, I have different colleagues during the 7 modules. But I interacted with students from Africa, with students from the Arab region, with students from the Middle East, Europe, and UK as well. So basically, I interacted with students from all over the globe with different mentality. I learned a lot, and I believe it's a very successful stage in my lifetime in Roehampton University. And inshallah, I believe that it's gonna boost my career path and my learning in my lifetime for the business aspect.
I have no doubt, Mustafa, listening to you, that it definitely will have that effect on you. We have here empowered by a flexible learning model, and Mustafa's touched upon the flexibility, and that's one of the big appeals to the program. But we certainly don't want to fool anyone that going and doing an online master's is easy. Yes, you're flexible in terms of when you go online, but it's a marathon, not a sprint, and we have hard-working professionals like Mustafa, doing 12-hour days and also working. So balancing your time and preparing and planning is a really important aspect of being a postgraduate online student. And I'd like to ask you, Mustafa, how do you balance your time studying alongside your personal and your professional commitments, and what is a typical week look for you at the University of Roehampton, London Online?
Starting by this, I will capture from your words as well. There's no typical for me, so weeks are so varying according to my work pressure in the entire week. So so for example, there are some weeks that I'm not able to enter in my classroom navigator for like 2-3 days, and then I squeeze myself in the weekend for 6-7 hours per day working at the classroom navigator in order to catch up and progress during my units of the module. This is one. 2, I will capture from the slide where it's stating 24/7 classroom access. This is the differentiation, the positive differentiation for the online learning, that in case you don't have a fixed schedule in your work, so you're not going to miss any class. In case you missed any webinar, you missed any video that is published live by your faculty member, you're going to be able to go back, have the recording, catch up, and learn in whatever time that suits you. This is the positive aspect from the online learning. How I manage this, you should have the faith that you should believe that you're going to do it by any means, whether you're going to work for 1 hour or couple of hours through the entire module per day, or that you're going to squeeze yourself in hard times in order to catch up by squeezing yourself in the weekend for 6, 7, 8 hours per day in order to reach your goal. Reaching a goal is never, or let's say reaching a successful goal is never easy. It's hard, and the hardness, especially in the online learning, is that you need to be so patient in order to read the articles, in order to learn, facilitate this with your colleagues, with your faculty member, and summarize all of that in terms of the shared activities and assignments at the end. So so basically, just a fixed schedule. I don't have a fixed schedule, but what I can say, it's hard and sweet at the same time. It's hard because you should duplicate your effort when it comes in combining your professional, personal, and business aspect from the professional when it comes to the master's, business when it comes to your work, and the personal, of course, for your family. But it's sweet because when you achieve a success in a module, you feel that you are flying because you achieve something that is hard and not everyone around you can do so.
Well, I think you've really hit the nail on the head there in terms of keeping focused on your goals. I would ask you what motivates you, but it's clear to me that you are goal focused in your success in building your this school that you're going to build, an academy. Is keeping you focused, and the learning is keeping you engaged and excited. So we're going to talk a bit more about professional development and really drill down into how we enable our students to grow professionally and in their careers. Zakiya, helping students is one of the core aspects of the Roehampton Online program. You've mentioned this in terms of developing practitioners, not just academics. In addition to the skills and the knowledge in the program will help students develop, we also have the personal and the professional development plan. So I'd like you to speak about that a bit, the personal and professional development plan. Can you explain what it is, and how can students use this plan to identify goals if, maybe unlike Mohammed, they don't have their goals so clearly outlined? I certainly don't.
I would start by, first of all, again saying Mostafa has really summarized the whole experience from the point of view of the students, and definitely when he says that the students at the first instance would be frightened to just think about online learning, I do empathize with Mostafa on the fear that you would be entering the online for the first time and living and interacting with the Arab students here maybe for quite a few years. I do understand the culture, or maybe the way in which people interact here, and the fear of maybe trending into unknown territories would be quite much than we could have guessed. But anyway, the other thing was is it easy to achieve the goals as an online student? Of course, it is not easy, and no best of knowledge comes easily. But yes, as Mostafa says, the motivation and dedicated commitment does make it happen. And best thing about Roehampton University is that you get a lot of support. You just need to let know where you've got stuck, or there are people watching you when you get stuck, and the faculty, of course, keep an eye on your progress throughout the module and lead you whether you have submitted an individual assignment during the learning unit or not. We still make it a point to give you a feedback, tell you about where you were going wrong, or maybe how submitting an individual assignment would actually take you forward into the module and take you towards the end of the module successfully. One such thing is the personal and professional development plan, as you mentioned it, Joe. Indeed, it's a dynamic tool which our students have access to from the first module of the program, the Leading and Learning in a Dynamic Era. This is our first module. Basically, in this module, we guide our students towards becoming a learning leader, which is an essential characteristic of a modern world. To be successful in a modern world, I could say. In this module, we familiarize our students with various personal development techniques, provide them opportunity to evaluate their own skill levels, assess their characteristic strengths and weaknesses, and so on. The PPDP itself, I could say, is a well-developed, or I could say a structured template which allows students to prepare a personal development plan which could take them successfully in achieving their personal and professional goals. The students start from filling up this template with specific goals, values and principles that they hold and guide their lives. The PPDP, that's the short for personal and professional development plan template, actually allows them to fill up measurable and achievable action plan on a timeline. Then it is then for the students to use this dynamic tool throughout the progressive module in the master's program by themselves, or with an option to share it with their faculty for each module. The PPDP is designed I think it's I would call it as an active tool, a live tool,
Right.
which students are expected to take beyond their master's program to help them achieve any goals in their personal and professional lives. Many of my students have declared this to be a very useful tool and instrumental in helping them design a realistic plan. I believe Mustafa is of the same opinion too.
Yes. Mustafa, would you speak to that for a second in terms of your professional personal development plan? How has that been going, and how has that progressed along the way, while you've
Okay.
been doing the module?
So just saying something a little bit psychologically. So
Sure.
everyone, if you opened up his mind, of course, nobody has no plans in his life. Everybody, if he opened up his mind, he's gonna find some plans. But sometimes it's organized. Sometimes it's like a salad. When it's like a salad, you need to organize this, segregate everything apart in order to know your priorities in your plan. That's basically what the professional development plan is doing for you, is that you sit alone, you segregate your plans, your goals, and place everyone as a specific goal, and place a timeline or a border for each goal, when you're going to reach this and how you're going to reach it, in order to place your life in terms of the personal, business, and academic life as a ladder, where you're going to take step by step in order to reach the top at the end. This is a very useful thing that we are doing, or a very useful tool that, like what Zakiya is saying, that we are doing through our modules, that I believe it's going to be very effective, not only through our master's period, but in our whole lifetime, because I believe that our goals is stopped by the last breath.
Yes. Obviously, professional development is absolutely key to what you're doing, Mustafa. In terms of this, what are the key learnings and theories that you've taken actually from the modules themselves and applied at your work, for example, or maybe for your business?
Yes, of course, we capture. That's why we are being able to organize our thoughts in our mind, because sometimes, as I previously mentioned, before the masters, a lot of things you don't know the know-how of how we can do so. So knowing the know-how of this through the progression in the modules, giving you the ability to organize all your goals and prioritize all your goals as well, in order to reach every goal at a certain time. So it's a mix between what you hope for, because a hope is just a thought in your mind where you are not able, or you're not having the certain tools to materialize this to a fact. But when you progress through the modules, you're going to have the know-how, or you're going to have the tools to materialize this to a fact through theoretically through the PDP, and then it's an active tool to apply it practically through your learning in the modules of your entire MBA.
Thank you. I mean, it really is a holistic approach. You have your PDP, you have your learnings for your modules, and you talked about these learnings as tools. And that's something I'd like to speak to you about as well, because we do have a fantastic tool. It's called the Reach Careers Hub, and I'd just like you to talk about your experience having visited this page and what it has to offer in terms of how Roehampton places career development.
Of course. So the sweet part of that is that Roehampton is not only focusing of your progression in terms of the masters and how you progress in your academic life with Roehampton, but it needs to have students when they are graduated and during their study in Roehampton University, all over the period of studying, they need to be differentiated as well in the practical life. So Roehampton was keen to place an input in your business aspect, in starting from how should you prepare your CV, how you should apply effectively on a job application, and a progression plan during your entire work or the progression of your career in this particular job, how you can assess your progression, how you can assess your success, and how you can assess the goals, and back link it to the PPDP, that how we can assess our goals live during our practical life that we placed in the the professional development plan that we placed previously. So basically linking your practical life and business life through steps, professional steps, starting from preparing a CV, how you can effectively apply for a certain job vacancy, and if you are accepted on that job vacancy, how you can plan for your goals through this job, and how you can assess your plans that you placed in the professional development plan, how you can assess those plans all over the career progression in this job.
Thank you, Mostafa. I like the way that you're joining the dots and you're making all the links between all the tools and all the learnings that are on offer to you, and basically putting your own experience and goals into that plan in order to get the most out of it for you. So I think that's really quite inspiring. Let's come to the end of our asking you these type of questions about your experience, but I'd like to let the audience also ask their own questions, because that's also important, and they've been listening, Mostafa and Zakiya, to you guys talk so eloquently about the program and what it has to offer these prospective students, that they have some questions. So I'm going to take a few of them for you now, and one to Zakiya. How are students assessed, and how do they get feedback on the work that they submit?
Okay, so maybe I'll just explain that each of our module has 6 learning units. At the end of each learning unit, students get formative feedback on what they have achieved and how they could improve further. The summative assessment is the final grade of the module, which comes only at the end of the module, which is learning unit 6. As I would say that it definitely benefits the students that each one of the learning unit 1 through 5 actually prepares the student to complete the final module project, which is evaluated at the end of the module, and by the time you reach unit 6, you have already prepared the initial drafts and got a feedback from the faculty. So you're more confident of what you will submit for grading, and I believe this really goes well with the students who may not be sure of what they are doing through the learning units as they submit the individual assignments.
Well, thank you very much for that. A great question for you, Mostafa, is what keeps you motivated when things may not be going your way?
Okay, so back to the initial motivation is that you believe in yourself when you are entering the module, the first module, when you are entering the entire MBA at the first stage. You should believe in yourself. You should believe that you have a lot to give, but you are not in a chance to give it. So in other words, the most inspiring thing and the most motivating thing is your the goal in your life. It's not about a certificate that you're going to take for an MBA. If you are entering the MBA just to take a piece of paper, so you're not going to continue through the modules, because you're going to have, trust me, a lot of hard times, a lot of intervals all over the MBA where it's not going to go smoothly. But when you are believing in yourself that you are entering the MBA to progress in your professional career, to add knowledge to your professional life, so at that point you will be fighting. You are as if you are in a war and you are fighting in order to reach a certain goal. Exactly. This is the very simple explanation of how we are in. And we are having business life, academic life, and personal life. So believe me, you should enter the MBA. You're having the faith to develop your skills, to develop your career path in order to be able to move all over the hard times, it's not only about a certificate. If it's about a certificate, my advice, don't enter and start an MBA. Believe in yourself, believe in your goal, go, and you will continue in the MBA, because whoever was done by a certain person, you're going to be able to do it, but you need a power, a faith, and organizing your time.
Yes, thank you very much. It's very inspirational, and you definitely, you need to be motivated and keep motivated. And Mostafa is a great example of a student who keeps his motivation close to his chest and in his heart. Zakiya, we have a great question, also one that I'd like to ask Mostafa. You've both been very candid about maybe some of the attitudes of the region towards online studying, some of the cultural different aspects of business in the Arab states compared to globally, and the global reach of the course. And we have a question here: how does the professor believe online learning is accepted and recognized in the Middle East? It's a very interesting question. So that's for you, Zakiya. How does the professor believe online learning is accepted and recognized in the Middle East?
Okay, I understand where this question comes from, because until recently, online learning was frowned on upon, not just in the Arab culture, but most part of Asia. But this trend is continuously changing, and I just read a news a few months ago, which said that the Dubai government has given recognition to the University of Liverpool online program, and it is considered by the Ministry of Education. Thus, the Laureate online education group definitely provides very welcome programs, and definitely in line with what is expected by the government and the educational standards of Arab world. So I believe it's definitely gaining acceptance, and there are more and more students from this region who are joining programs. As I could see in so many years that I've been teaching with the online program, more students from this region are joining us. So I believe this is definitely a positive move.
Thank you very much. And yes, how do you feel, Mostafa, as a student on the course, about how online degrees are considered in the region?
Can I answer a different aspect of the answer? It's not about how it's recognized in the Arab countries or anything. Again, your first priority, yes, of course, you're having a great effort and a great input in the masters. So you need to have a certified certificate in the country that you are working in. But let's say the revolution for the online learning all over the world, your master's is going to be recognized now or after a while. And again, the main goal for the master's, I was not able to go for a class-based one. For whoever is not able to go for a class-based one because of the flexibility, because of the tight timing due to the business commitments. Again, everyone is gonna recognize you. Everyone is gonna know the differentiation when you finalize your master's because of your input in your business core, because of your differentiated professionalism of how you are dealing with the people and employees, colleagues, higher or lower than you. Believe me, guys. It's not about the certification, because it's a matter of time to be recognized in all of our Arab countries, especially that the University of Roehampton certificate is recognized by the UK government. So it's going to be recognized sooner or later. But a great input you're going to have in terms of your professionalism, your ability to accelerate in your career path because of what you are learning through your modules. So let's have your first faith, your first goal is the development in your career path due to the input, the learning input from the masters, the online masters, and then the certificate is going to be recognized. And in the worst case scenario, if it's not recognized by the country that you are moving on, because for us we are working as expatriates, so I may have a recognized certificate nowadays in Dubai, as Zakiya just told about the other university recognition, and then move tomorrow to another country where this certificate is not recognized. And it's the same case for the class-based. I may go to a certain joint venture between this country and a certain university where I have a recognized certification of the master's, and then as an expatriate move to another country where I don't have a certification for this. It's about the content that you took in the master's. It's about the content that is going to enable you to be differentiated in your life. It's not about the certificate, especially that we are in a very dynamic rate of globalization. So you're not going to be for the lifetime in the same place working. You're going to be moving. The real recognition is in your value in the business, not in the papers that you are taking and the recognition of these papers.
Thank you very much.
I do agree wholeheartedly, Mostafa. Yeah, what you're saying is quite right.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, and especially for discussing the region that you know so well and the course that you both know as well. We have a question from Mohammed. How does Mostafa manage his time, and how many hours do you put in a week?
Okay, so again, managing the time, it's flexible according to the other commitments, the business commitments and the personal commitments. But of course, we can, let us say it's not less than 8 to 10 hours per week that you need to have an input. And when you are progressing through the modules, so it's easier for you to learn, it can be 6 to 8 hours per week, but not less than that by any means. And of course, there is variance between a person or another, so it's difficult to base on a certain person, but this is the average.
Okay, I think that's a very good answer. So thank you both for taking all of those questions today. Those participants out there, thank you also very, very much for being interactive and fielding those questions to us. There are some practical steps. Many of you will be hungry to apply and want to understand, what are the practical things I need to do to apply to the University of Roehampton, London online. How do I do that? So you'll be speaking to an enrollment consultant and have made an inquiry. And then you'll have to go through very practical steps. You write your ambition statement, you submit that statement to your enrollment advisor, and you complete the online application on our website. We do have a webinar called Take a Leap and Apply. It's application success webinar, but from one of our lovely enrollment consultants who goes through these steps on how to put your best foot forward, how to position your work experience and make your statement shine so that you get through the admissions process. And the next thing you have to do is some practical stuff. You have to prepare, you have to sign, return your student agreement that you make. You have to make your first payment for your module, and then you have to join InspireNet, which we've been talking about earlier, which is that online community, very much like social media, where you can create your profile, and you can go and do our orientation activities, which is our student readiness experience. Mostafa, do you remember back? Did you have a preparation experience? How did you prepare yourself for when you started on the course?
So you mean any seminar that was conducted?
Yeah,
yeah, of course. I had a live one in Dubai in one of the hotels where I attended 1 month prior the initiation or the start of the first module, and of course it gave me a more clear vision about the online studying and how I'm gonna progress through this. And believe me, believe in the faculty members that they're gonna let you be able to start up. At the beginning it's light, and then it's becoming harder and harder because your ability is higher and higher. Yes. Just the only thing, because maybe the audience is gonna think that everything is flowery and bright.
Oh no.
Yeah, the only two comments that I need you guys to place them in your mind is that if you're working hard and believing in what you are doing, along with the hard times, you're gonna recognize this after your success, because those two parameters is gonna lead to the success, no doubt.
Well, thank you very much. We're really proud of our word of mouth here. There's students like Mostafa really engaging on the course and having a fantastic experience, and we want all of our students to make the most out of it. Not just about the piece of paper, just like Mostafa said, it's about the learning. there might be someone who you're currently working with, or a member of your network or your friend who you want to go through this with you. 1 in 5 of our students at Roehampton Online is referred, which is something we're extremely proud about our institution. So you can save $1,000. It's a bit of financial assistance off your fees if you manage to be successful and refer a friend and they go into class. So that's a very nice option. Yeah. Yes. How would you like to add to that, Mostafa?
I did one. I referred the friend to start up the masters because he recognized the difference in my attitude during he recognized the input from the masters in my business aspect. So he asked how can I go and enroll on this. So I referred the friend, but the bad thing that he was thinking that the MBA is just the certificate that he is taking, so he was not able to move all over the high waves, so he stopped that in module 2, sadly to say.
I think that's a good point, exactly. I mean, it highlights how you have to be engaged, and just like any higher education course, it's not a bachelor's, it's a postgraduate online whilst you're working, and as you, Mostafa, told so well, that's such a key element of the course. Thank you very much to both of you. I'm going to ask you one more piece of advice or tip from each of you before I let you go today. Our term starts to everyone on Thursday, the 24th of March, and that's just under a month away. Plenty of time to get your house in order in terms of your application statement and speaking to your enrollment consultant, making sure you're picking the right course. We have a lot of MBA students considering the MPM in project management, for example. Speak to us, or maybe watch our webinar where, on why do an MBA. That's on there as well. And really go and find out about Roehampton Online. There's many ways that you can do that, like the website. You can join the online community. You can search for us, Twitter, Facebook, and all the usual places. So please go and do that. We love to hear from you through those platforms. Before we leave today, Zakiya, I just want to ask you, one last thing. In your mind, how would you summarize the Roehampton Online experience?
Okay, that's a difficult one. Okay, if I were to think flexibility, motivation, inspiration, dedicated and directed hard work, all could be an element of Roehampton Masters program. But if I have to use one word to define what Roehampton experience would be like for our students, I would call it educational ecosystem, with all the basic supports and facilities that that we have, like the Center for Student Success, maybe which also includes the writing center, maybe the support that we provide to our students, along with a very rich library and also the faculty support. I would definitely call it as an educational ecosystem which the students are letting themselves in.
Thank you very, very much, Zakiya, and thank you very much for all your insight today. Mostafa, I want you to travel back in time and visit yourself when you're just about to start the course. Let's say you're the day before you're about to start your first module. Knowing what you know now, what's the one piece of advice that you'd tell yourself?
Let's have it as a quote, and we place it on the homepage of Roehampton University. Every suffer is gonna accompany or be followed by sweet times. So place this quote in your mind and start with the very high dynamic boost in your term that is going to start by the 24th of March. And whenever you're going to think that it's too hard, it's hard, but it's not impossible to be done. And again, every suffer is going to accompany very sweet time.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the sweet time that we've had today, and thank you all to our participants. Thank you, and good evening. Have a lovely weekend. Please make it a productive one, and we'll see you all in class. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure being with you all. Thank you.